Hello and welcome to Tabletop Oddity. My name is Jay and today I'm coming at you with new news from FFG regarding Star Wars Legion. They have just announced, I don't actually know how many minutes ago, but very soon, we're going to get Emperor Palpatine and the Royal Guard for Star Wars Legion, and obviously more specifically the Imperial faction. So just announced right now, and what we'll do is we'll just have a quick look at the models, some of the rules that we can get from it, and that kind of thing. So yeah, let's get straight into it. No messing around. I have no idea what I'm doing. So yeah, well, I was tempted to do a video where I was going to be talking about like wave 3 or 4 that we were going to be onto the commanders, and I'm sort of glad I didn't, because I wouldn't have predicted they were going straight for Palpatine. Very interesting character, obviously, in the films, and the way that they're doing his rules, also very intriguing. So that's the box set. Nothing really here. Normally you get fluff at the top, so nothing really too interesting. But there's his model, there's his card. Interestingly, with Palpatine, of course, we're going to get extra force powers which Darth Vader will be able to use, and I say Luke, but the one that's available, the ambush, does appear to be dark side only. So as you can see, if I'm misreading any of this, don't hate me, it's very difficult to tell. We don't have good quality versions of it at the moment. He looks like he's about 240 points. Obviously he's a unique guy, there's no doubt about that, and I can't really make out the ones on his card. Pulling the strings, choose a friendly trooper unit 1 to 2 and they may perform a free attack action. So he does have some support abilities. He's got a thing where he's got his entourage. Interestingly, he's Master of the Force 2, so he can ready up to 2 Force cards. He's only got 5 wounds. He is movement 1, but he has both offensive and defensive surge, which I'm fairly sure Vader doesn't have. He can take 3 force powers and the gear, the commandy one. Interestingly, on one of his cards, it says that he gains 1 blah 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 token, and I can't make out what it is. But I think it's probably the one where you can't move. And I think these are the red tokens. I'm fairly sure somebody else gets them, but I can't remember exactly who, because I've not really looked too much into it. But ambush is basically when you take damage, you can receive a free aim token, which is going to be interesting for Vader, and like his 1-pip, because you can basically make it so that each one you can possibly have, you can do 2 attacks in the same turn, and maybe have aim with both of them, really pumping up his damage. Very, very interesting in that sense. His 1-pip is very interesting. Emperor Palpatine's 1-pip is very interesting. From what I can make out, you take, and I think it's 1 wound, but it could very easily be anywhere between 1 and 5. I can't probably read it. But basically, if you use his 1-pip, he gets the order, and he can take X number of wounds, and for each one, he gets to attack again, from what I can make out. And then you also get 1 suppression. And it's interesting, he doesn't have unlimited suppression like Vader. And then the defender gains a blah 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 token. I'm not sure what that token is. But when we have a look at his weapons, also, you can see his melee and his ranged weapon is the same thing. It's PS2, which is interesting. Suppressive, so it will give them that extra suppression token. Overall, my instinct is maybe not. Right, in the sense that I like a lot of what's there, but a bit of me thinks that he's very similar to Vader in that he's slow and methodical. Although unlike Vader, especially with like pulling the strings and his and stuff like that, he might be more of a support character rather than the dishy out character himself. And in that sense, he actually might be useful. But it's, without seeing more, I'm not actually able to properly make a determination. There's his miniature in full, looking pretty sexy. Well, I say sexy. It's Emperor Palpatine's ugly face. That isn't that sexy. This just talks about the Force Lightning, which I enjoy the graphic, but obviously in game it's just a range attack. And there's not too much extra information here. It does say it's going to come out in the 4th quarter, so it is this year. And as we're leading on, this picture then leads us on to the Imperial Royal Guards. So obviously these are the ones I've seen. I keep thinking about the new film, but obviously I presume they're, they are Palpatine's Royal Guard. Now these are much more interesting in that sense. they have 3 miniatures by default for 75 points. I'm fairly sure this is the special commando, not commando one, the special forces one. But they have some interesting stuff in the sense that they have this discipline 2, which I think basically lets them remove 2 suppression when they're issued an order. They also have charge. Now charge I'm very excited about because this finally gives the Imperials like some fast moving threat. Well, they're going to have Boba Fett, but just it gives them another option, this fast moving threat, because they can basically move to 2 and then move to 2 and then attack. Obviously it's not as good as Luke with his jumping around kind of stuff, but I really like that versatility to be like, right, I'm going to do something a little bit unexpected here. And they are a little bit better in melee because they get a red and a black dice in melee. They get Guardian too, so they could protect Palpatine, Vader, or Vias, which would be a weird combination, but you know, you could do it. They come with 3, and then you can take the electoral, what they call it, the electoral staff guard. What do they call it? They call it at some point here. I can't necessarily see it. The electoral staff guard, which I think reading it seems to give you immune to pierce. So it makes them more defensive because they obviously have the red defense dice. There is something else underneath that, which is something melee, but I can't read that. Hopefully somebody will be able to clear that up. The problem with doing these is I can't read everything, so I can't necessarily give a proper opinion on the stuff. It's more just to say that this is here. If you want to like try and dissect it, fair enough. I don't have the time nor the inclination at the minute to try and dissect everything. All I can say is I'm just looking at it and giving my like base opinions. They don't have any surges on the offensive or the defensive, but they can take quite a few different upgrades. I'm fairly sure, you know, there'll be some very interesting builds out there. I really like the models for these. Like, I think they look pretty damn good. I mean, they're simple, don't get me wrong. There's not that much detail on them, but they've not overworked the detail. It looks pretty nice. Emperor Palpatine, I also quite like. I really like his model. I'm not sure about his face, but his face is sort of disfigured anyway. So, I mean, I'm not really sure if it's just my personal distaste of that model or the distaste of his face. I think it's probably the distaste of his face, if that makes sense. But very interesting, very happy to have them. The game is really starting to like become more fleshed out, and I'm glad that I didn't make my extra prediction, because I would probably have predicted that they would have gone with a vehicle. I was really expecting maybe more of a, not a generic commander, but not Palpatine, and then probably like vehicles. Because we're a little bit, I say we're short on vehicles, but it's not exactly that we're short on vehicles, because, you know, you've got the speeder bikes and the ATST, and then you've got the ATRT and the Earth Speeder. But I just thought that's where we would go, or maybe not necessarily vehicles, maybe something like droids, a medical droid or something like that. But this is the next wave. Now, to complement Palpatine and these guys, I'm not sure what we'll see in terms of the rebel troops. I just simply don't know. Maybe the droids, maybe Wookiee, but I think we might see Obi-Wan Kenobi. I think he might be odds-on favourite next. You know, a Force user who's slow and old. So I sort of feel like he might be next. Other than that, I don't really have too much to say on them, apart from I'm excited that it's expanding the options. To me, Palpatine sort of seems like an alternative Vader at the minute. I need to see more of what he's capable of, because you're not really going to want to run Vader and Palpatine, because that's half your army. So you're probably going to want to run just one commander still at the moment. I think, you know, Boba Fett's the one that's really like mixes things up. But for me, I think Palpatine at the minute, I'm not sure he's less offensive, but he might just have enough like support mechanisms to make him interesting, which is weird, I guess, to say for Palpatine, but we'll see. That's going to just be a case of wait and see when we get the full reveal. I'm predicting Obi-Wan Kenobi. Let's just say it. I'm predicting Obi-Wan Kenobi and Wookiees. That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. Obi-Wan Kenobi, but I'm not sure what else. Let me know your thoughts. I'm excited to see this. Hopefully I've been vaguely coherent. It doesn't feel like that. But you know, these kind of videos when it's just like, this has come out, that's all I end up really saying. Let me know your thoughts. Have a most beautiful day, and goodbye. Bye, guys.